Hey everyone, if you've ever lost anyone close to you, if you've ever lost a pet or maybe a job or a relationship has fallen apart and you've been through grief, then today we have some good news to share with you. I'm Tim Wright. I'm the pastor here at Community Grace Lutheran Church, Peoria, Arizona. Glad to have you worshiping with us today on Facebook and YouTube. And today we're wrapping up a series that we've been doing over the course of several weeks called Stuck. We've talked about being stuck in unforgiveness, stuck in doubt, stuck in our faith, stuck in debt, stuck in sin. And today we wrap up by talking about something we all go through in our lives, and that's grief and what to do when we get stuck there. And today bringing you the message is our associate pastor, Jose Valenzuela. And so Jose, it's up to you to share some good news with us today.
Good evening, everyone. It's me, Pastor Jose, and it's good to be here with you today. And as Pastor Tim was just saying, we've been talking about this subject, stuck in sin, stuck in debt. And today we're going to talk about being stuck in grief. And I'm really fortunate that I get to work with a lot of people that are going through tough times in their lives. And every once in a while, I get the real privilege of meeting someone that just touches my heart and blows my mind. And so today I'm really excited to share with you one of my absolute favorite human beings, a dear friend of mine, a guy by the name of Luis Miranda. And Luis is a local artist here in the Phoenix area, and his artistry is actually vehicles. He is a master artist of restoring, remodeling, custom vehicles, and they're called lowriders. And so what he does is he takes these old vehicles and turns them into absolute marvels of magic. And so I want you to meet Luis now, and he's going to share a little bit of his story with us and how it is that he came to where he is today. So Luis, I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time. And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? You're a dad, you're a grandpa, you're an artist. Some people even call you a mechanic. Good morning. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Jose. This is a really big pump up here, man. I don't know if I can live up to this now. You set me up to fall on my face, I think is what you just did. But yeah, I've been building cars for quite a while now. Actually, about 34 years for myself and professionally. About 36 years. I only worked for a couple of years before I went on my own.
Oh, wow.
Kind of a dumb thing to do, you know, at 22 years old to start your own business, but I'm still here, still successful.
And so you've been doing this a long time. You have experienced a lot of success at it, but about 11 years ago, your life really took a very different direction, didn't it?
Positively,
yeah. So what happened?
My wife was diagnosed with breast cancer back in 2010, and she lived with that for 2.5 years and passed away in 2012.
Oh, wow. So in 2012, you became a single dad of 4 kids, right?
Correct.
And if I understand, your wife was your high school sweetheart, your everything, and you lost her to cancer.
Yeah, we actually met as kids. I was 13 years old and she was 11.
Wow.
Yeah, I met her on my very first job, which you're not supposed to work at 13, but we fibbed a little bit on my application so I could start working, and met her on my first job. It was a summer job, and we met there and started dating right out of high school. She was still in high school, and I was right out of high school, and dated for 6 years before we got married.
Yeah. So, you know, we're talking about this topic of grief, and I would imagine that from the moment you got the news that your wife had cancer, there was a grieving process that started, and I would imagine that even on the day that she passed away, it didn't stop that day. It was part of the same process, but yet entirely different. Does that make any sense?
Positively. When she was diagnosed at stage 4 already, and there's really no coming back from that.
Yeah.
Even though in my mind I told myself, she can get through, you know. And of course, she stood positive and fought real hard through that whole situation, knowing that this wasn't gonna last very long.
You knew
our relationship. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Even though it's way in the back of your mind, you know, it's there.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and so you try to keep it in the back of your mind and try to live through and be positive and do everything you can to help the situation, knowing that it's going to come to an end.
Wow. And then it does come to an end. And what's that like, man?
Man, I couldn't remember the day. I
Really?
remember her last breath. Very, very difficult, of course. I found a lot of peace on that day, believe it or not. I know that might sound weird to a lot of people, but it was the end of her suffering. And that brought a lot of peace.
Yeah.
It was the end of my suffering, too. I know that sounds very, very selfish. I don't mean it in a selfish way
No.
at all.
In a weird way, it does make sense.
Yes,
Yeah.
because, man, was I suffering through that. You know, seeing her get poked and prodded every time at the doctor, you know, 3-4 times a week, you know, and surgery after surgery after surgery just to try to keep her as healthy as possible, or at least comfortable as possible. That's a terrible thing to see, you know.
How do you pick up the pieces afterwards? How do you pick up the pieces and pull it together? I mean, you went from a total partnership marriage to you're on your own now. You know, how do you move on from that?
Ooh, that's going to be difficult for a lot of people. Thankfully for me, it wasn't. You know, I'm a very faithful person,
Okay.
and I've been most of my life, and so that helped me in that situation to stay as powerful as possible.
Yeah.
On that day that she passed away, I knew I had a job to do, and that's what kept me going. I said, "Hey, I can't fail.
Yeah.
I can't fail now.
Yeah.
There's only half of me now. You know, I don't have my other half.
Half the team is gone.
Half the team's gone. That's
Yeah.
right. But that other half is in heaven now.
And is that other half still with you? In your heart?
In certain situations, positively, yeah. In certain situations, yes. With my kids, for sure.
There you go.
You know, when
Yeah.
I have to deal with the situation with my kids, with my family, for sure, that other half is still has to be there, because, like I say, that other half is in heaven, and that's pressure on me not to fail. How do I fail when the other half is watching, or even maybe not watching, but is in that holy place where I can't fail. I can't let her down. I can't put myself in a situation to be looked at as less than. I can't accept that.
Yeah.
At least for me, I can't accept that. And I'm human, of course. I fail all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm not okay with that.
So you had to really step up your game when it was just you, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
so you told me this story one time that one of your children was having a birthday, and your day starts about 5 o'clock in the morning at your shop, and you work until the sun goes down. But on this one particular day, you had to leave the shop, go home, bake a cake. Tell me.
Yeah,
what,
that's a part of not failing. I'm not the kind of father that ever bought a dollar meal. Never, not once. I cook 3 meals a day, 7 days a week. And on their birthdays, of course, they're expecting something special.
Yeah.
I'm not going to fail them. Positively, they're going to have what they want for dinner that evening, and they're going to have a fresh baked cake too.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I'd go to work and do everything I could there, which wasn't much, of course, because my heart wasn't there at the time. My mind wasn't there at the time. You know, I
Yeah.
got way more important things to do. And I know that sounds weird because that's my business. I got customers dependent on me. I have jobs I have to finish. I have to make a living to support my family. But that's not what was important for me, because my boys don't have any concept of that.
Okay.
That's all separate from their life,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They don't know that bills got to get paid. They just know the lights stay on. And so when it's their birthday, all they know is it's their birthday.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to fail them in that way. I'm going to leave work early. I'm going to make their dinner, and I'm going to fresh bake a cake for them. And so, yeah, that's part of not failing.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say, well, I got a business to run. If I don't make money, you're not going to eat tonight. No.
That had to wait.
That's not their business.
Yeah, yeah. Now, you said something earlier that your faith has really gotten you through grief, and you haven't just lost a wife. During the Great Recession, your whole business went down the tubes, and you've experienced other loss in other ways. But as a person of faith, where do you find peace in all of this?
Right now you bring that up about in '08, the crash. I lost so much, and my business went down the tubes, and I smile. And I'm sure people watching right now, they say, what is this guy smiling about? That's not a pleasant thing, and it's not. Obviously, I went through great amount of loss at that time, and stress, and so many ugly things in life at that time. We're taught to depend on God, and that's what I do.
Yeah.
And that, for me, it's perfectly easy, simple, logical for me to do that, to depend on God. For most people, it's not. And so I got through it pretty easy. I lost property at that time. My retirement property, right?
Yeah.
What I thought I was going to be able to live on when I retired. In which I'm pretty close to that age now, right? And that's all gone.
It's all gone.
But I can smile about it. You know why? If God's with me, who can be against me?
Yeah.
I don't care if it's financial or spiritual or a person, a customer, whatever. It doesn't matter.
So if someone is stuck in grief, no matter what kind of grief, what would you say to them right now? What can you say to them today?
That same thing. You can't get stuck. You cannot get stuck. God gets us through everything. Everything. It's that simple. And as people, we complicate so much. We complicate things in our life. We complicate all the smallest decisions. We need to simplify. And in simplifying, that's when God's got us. Because we're depending on Him, and we're allowing Him to work through us in our life to handle all those difficult situations and give us peace. And that's what's most important, is getting peace in those situations, because the peace is what's going to get us through, not our human decisions on how we're going to fix things and how we're going to get through and how we're going to maintain and how we're going to make the money to pay those bills. God's got us if we are with Him, and if we're following Him, He's going to get us through anything in our life. And that sounds really almost too simple.
Yeah, it
right?
almost sounds too easy.
It's too easy. But God didn't put things complicated in our life. We are the ones that complicate it. And so if we simplify things that way, it is just that simple.
Right. Thanks, Luis. I really want to thank you for taking time and being here with us today.